Wait, I did your mic different and you ruined it.
I don't know what your mic rituals are.
You always mess up my mic rituals and my camera settings, and then I always mess up your pre-tape. This is why you don't work with your spouse.
I tried putting one of my cats in a tub and putting them in the tub with me.
What happened?
It did not work.
Dude, neither of these fools would last.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't get them into it. And then the second you did, they wouldn't leap out. They would leap into the tub and then scratch my face off, hit the wall, and then knock over everything that I own. Candle would set the whole place on
Not
fire.
the candle, a hairdryer in there. Or
Yeah,
the
the hair
curling
dryer would
iron.
go in. You would come home and be
Fucking
like,
dead.
Your
my
whole family would be
is
dead.
dead.
They'd all be dead.
Well, family, it was fun while it lasted.
Families are overrated.
Wait, are we recording?
I would jump in with you.
Hey, gang.
We made it
Hi.
to the end of A Southern Charm.
Well, no, we still have one more.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it's the reunion.
That's what we're talking about today is the reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the
okay.
end of a season. I don't really count the
Last week
reunions.
was the end of the season.
Yeah, that's true.
Good talk, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Like and
God,
subscribe.
do you remember when like, Whitney used to have to come and Catherine was there and they were doing it in the clubhouse? And Catherine and what's his name, Thomas Ravenel, we would talk about how they had a tradition of shagging every reunion.
That's how they have their kids.
And they'd be like, when was the last time you guys slept together? And he'd be like, last reunion.
Yeah.
They got a nice little hotel in the city.
Yeah.
Kids are at
Compliments of
home
Bravo.
with the nannies. Yeah. Compliments of Bravo.
In those fancy hotel rooms in New York City. They make you do funny things.
Well, I just feel like they're also coming off of like, everyone trying to make nice at the reunion, yada, yada.
Yeah.
They have a good, their chemistry was palpable,
Yeah.
even though it's weird and like dysfunctional.
Oh, yeah.
And wildly toxic for both
Yeah.
of them.
He only loves a crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird.
Even when he dated that girl Landon for like 5 seconds. Or
Landon's nuts too.
Yeah, she's super nuts too.
I struggled with the reunion. I'm just going to say it out loud.
All the teasers they showed, we're like, oh man, cool. It's clearly they saved those for part 2. Because
Yeah.
part 1 was a bit of a snooze.
I mean, it was adorable how Madison came out, but we knew she was pregnant. So we didn't have that response as an audience, just the summer
yeah.
what Southern Charm kids did.
Well, Madison brought something else really spectacular, just confirming something that we've all always known, but no one
What?
ever said anything, that JT wears a hairpiece.
Yes,
Yeah.
she outed JT for his hairpiece.
Two pois.
Yep.
Because I don't know anything about hair pieces or anything like that, but it seemed like, I was like, that seems like normal hair.
No, he's got it in, it's almost where you would put a yarmulke.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
He's got a little chupamica. I wonder if that counts.
What?
Yeah,
Like if you were to go into temple and you're like, I
No.
got my chupamica.
I don't think so. I think you need the cloth
He's like, no, I wear the cloth on the
Yeah.
spot.
and then the hair over it.
The hair.
Yeah.
So then the next thing we get into is Craig. They are just questioning him about his relationship, what happened with Paige. Nothing new, nothing of note, right?
I mean, there's new things, but it's just like, if we're
Nothing
we're taking
matters.
Craig's word for it, and I know many of us aren't, okay? But if we are, she told him keep the ring. We might get married at Bravo.
Obviously a joke.
No, totally a joke, but I do love it's one other time that I've seen the internet go wild and take this clear joke as Bible and run with it and like of course she didn't say that. God, he's such a liar. I feel like she joked about that. That could have been a joke.
Yeah.
The time, dear, like, and the other thing that he said that she had said was that John Hamm video. I've watched this 1,000 times.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And he's like, God, we are so different.
Yeah.
And then I feel like there was one other thing. The part where she allegedly says that she can't believe that he didn't fight for her. And I just want to say that there's a chunk of time, usually the first month or two after a breakup of like a long relationship, there is there's 37 layers of weird that you're vacillating between of communication. And it's normally, not normally, I don't know. I don't speak for all women, clearly, by the comment section. I don't speak for all women. But I would say that we're all kind of pushing boundaries and seeing what we're trying to spur a response. See, like there's just something, even if you're the one that did the breaking up, there's something that like you, because usually if women leave someone, they probably knew they should have left a year ago or at least a few months ago or whatever. And so when we do, and there's no grand gesture immediately after, if you're not standing outside my building with a boombox in one hand and a 5-carat emerald cut in another, how dare you, sir? If you're not fighting for us to do everything you can to get us back, we can't believe it. Again, even if we were the ones to leave, because like I said, most of the time women leave long after they probably first knew they should have. So I don't know what those conversations consisted of, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if she said something like that. And it would be just something that every other woman has said at some point, whether it was under their breath or literally audibly on a phone call.
I do wonder though, because clearly she broke up with him right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
The way he's talking about it, it wasn't this hard break. Like they were still kind of talking, or I don't, right? Like it didn't seem totally clear.
Yeah, I had no idea they talked all December.
Well,
like that was news to me.
I think that's probably because, like you said, it happened on Thanksgiving or whatever. And then if what he said, this is so crazy. If what he says is true, like it happened, he was like, okay. He says two things. One, it was like, oh, I think we should break. So he didn't really acknowledge it, and whatever, that makes sense. But that he also was like, okay, can we just like keep it a secret for a minute? Let's hold off on this. So I think probably during that time, you would keep talking and be like, Craig probably thought if he was talking to her, that was him fighting, and because he didn't show up with a ring and a boombox, and probably asked, well, what am I supposed to do with the ring, instead of, no, I'm going to give you this ring or whatever. That's probably in somebody's head. It's like, you're not fighting for me. But I think it would make sense to me that if they decided not to let it out right away, that they would keep talking. But once she was like, dude, I'm saying something on the podcast. That's when she was like, and we're done.
I agree with how you laid that out. But then like the whole fighting for me comment, is that maybe in retrospect, Craig was saying to her, hey, I don't really like, I can't understand why we're breaking up. Like, we're best friends. We have a great sex life, all this stuff that he said to the guys. Was she like, wait a minute, that you thought that was us maybe possibly getting back together? Like, if you wanted to get back together, fight for me. Because I'm just trying to figure out how it was said, because it seems so out of left field.
But Craig said, and then she said some crazy stuff or crazy shit. And everybody was like, whoa, what crazy stuff? What was the crazy shit? I wouldn't put it past Craig coming up with crazy shit. If Paige were to say something, or Jesse or Sierra, or these people who don't have a montage of lying or storytelling or fibbing or like expanding the truth or whatever it is, said something to me, I would there would not be anything in my head that's like, I'm not so sure about that. I would believe them. But when Craig says something, there's always, my first reaction is, dude, I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
And I don't know who said it, but somebody was like, I've never loved a liar so much in my life.
Yeah.
And you agree? And I was like, that's, yeah.
I feel like it was maybe Rebecca. I can't remember.
Yeah, but it was spot on.
Saw an astrologer one time that had said something to me about, they're like, oh, you're gonna like meet this person and you'll be working with them, and just know they lie about everything that isn't important and tell the truth about everything that is important. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, that's kind of an interesting way to describe someone. And it makes me think about Craig, because I do think that Craig desperately loved Paige.
Yeah.
And I think when he's talking about how that he did want to marry her and have kids and have this family with her and be loyal to her forever, that's the important stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he was telling the truth now. Telling the truth there. Now, when he's talking about some of these other things, like JT calling Miss Patricia the B word, probably didn't happen.
Did you see everybody raise their hand though and say that they thought he did say it? But I mean, that could just be a divide of the show, how there's like the elders on one side and then there's like the noobs on the other side. But like Austin, Shep, and Madison all raise their hand and say, yeah, they think that he did say it.
Austin, Shep, and Madison all dislike JT so much also that
What's to love?
I know. No. And by the way, can we talk about the fact that this was a blip on the radar during the reunion, and I really hope they talk about it more, because Andy's like, so you're here. And JT's like, oh yeah, it turns out I had a little bit of a diva moment or whatever.
My
and
inner
it's
bitch. My inner bitch came out.
Or my inner bitch. And it's just like, shut up,
Yeah,
JT.
so
you
you're
literally
not
made this
quitting?
whole statement of how you
That's what
quit the
I'm telling
show.
I'm telling you, he's trying to get back on. And he's doing this
100%.
entire thing with Venita to stay on the show. And she could be doing it too to stay on the show.
Yeah, listen, we're going to have a revolt. All I know.
But I can't do another season of those two.
If we do another season with them, they don't exist, because I just like at a certain point, like, you just can't be insulted by a network so hard that like we cannot take these people seriously. There's many months away. I could forget all of this by the following season. I just want to put that on the table right now.
Mike definitely
that is a
will.
thing. But like, I will find it so like just insulting, just like a spit in the face of the viewers who you expect to believe things that like already we're using suspended reality on so much stuff, you know.
Yeah.
That I know it's real, but half the conversations I feel like are reenactments of real conversations. But like, did this really happen in this moment? I don't know. Like, there's just so many things we already have to be like, okay, we're accepting that because like we want to watch this show, we want to watch these people, and like we just have to understand that like not everything can be perfect. Not everything can like happen in the perfect timing when the camera guys are there and whatever. These two people have time and time again not just lied about what they're doing, but then like gone on other shows and gone on socials and like just really doubled, tripled, quadrupled down 17 different outlets and it's just confused everything, turned everything upside down, and they're continuing to do that.
About nothing.
About
this
nothing.
Is the thing. Like, you're confusing a situation that nobody cares about.
Yeah.
Because there's no there.
When she gets up and goes and Andy says, that's a fake door. Like that, if that doesn't tell you everything.
You're right.
Like,
that's the micro of the macro.
Yeah, like only Venita would get up and walk out of a fake door because it looked better, or she wanted, would she say, I'm gonna look cute doing it or whatever. Like, okay, so then it's all a show. If any of us are trusting this person any further, like shame on everyone.
Yeah, no, for sure. But two things, she did look cute doing
Totally
it.
cute.
But also, and this goes to the whole season of shady editing. She had her phone in 30% of the moments where they were going back and forth, and it was leading up to her being like, do you want me to go grab my phone? She had her phone once full on in her hand, and the camera caught it this way. And then like 2 or 3 shots of it on her lap. And then there was a bunch while she was saying it.
No.
I was like 100%, at least 3 shots. One from her phone was already in her hand. And then 2 that it was on her lap, and then they cut and there was nothing, and she's like, do you want me to go get my phone? And she stands up.
But Mike, first of all, well done you.
Yeah, I did not notice that, and I'm always
that.
looking for that stuff, and I did not notice that, even nothing.
But that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's the micro of the macro.
Yeah.
It's like, here we are trying to reorganize the alphabet, and none of this matters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who cares? You guys never had a relationship. We get it. Someone needs to come in as a representative for these two, and it can't be Leva. And they need to say,
but there's not one. That's the problem. That's why they need to go. And so many people have said in the comments.
I'm just saying to like clarify this. If you want anyone to give a shit, someone needs to just come in and say, here's what happened. They were flirting before the season started. Then you've got JT getting into a relationship with some chick before the cameras go up, and he hides it until mid-season.
Yeah.
And then he tells her that he's dating someone in the Bahamas, and then she still puts the pedal to the metal and invites him over. And by the way, I was rewatching it, and she said to her dog, she's like, oh, this is the first time JT's coming over. And it's like, how much have you guys been hanging out if this guy hasn't even been at your apartment?
Yeah.
That's like the third hangout if you're really hanging out, which you are not. And so then he comes over, tells her again that he's in a relationship. And I know that the editing had it opposite, but we know that it was actually the Bahamas and then the dinner. But again, none of this matters because they're having the exact same conversation. She's pushing to hook up with him because he's been flirting with her like crazy. He quote unquote drops the bomb that he has a girlfriend, even though in one of the situations she already knew he had a girlfriend. And now you're mad?
Yeah.
And by the way, you still want to kind of stand up for him or know how he's doing or whatever throughout the rest of the season. Like you never blew up on him.
Yeah.
And the second time he said, I can't do this, I have a girlfriend. Why weren't you as pissed as you are at the reunion? Why weren't you that mad then?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Their whole storyline makes no sense. And I don't care. And I don't care. And furthermore, sorry, go ahead, Mike. You were going to say something.
I was just going to say, and then next up.
Well, because it kind of brings me into the next thing when they're talking about, and I think this might have happened first, but now him and Madison are talking about the thing with Madison's husband. Nobody believes that. And this might sound way harsh, Ty, but like, let's just be honest. Like nobody believes that Madison and JT hooked up one time or 20 times.
Yeah.
100%. And one of the notes I have here is that it's funny to me, and realization that I had, is that Craig is so mad at JT, and JT is so mad at Craig. Why are they mad at each other? These two idiots are doing the exact same thing.
One's just better at it.
I don't know if he is.
No,
and
one
if
just
he is, I don't know. One's just
taller
more
with
prolific.
a higher follicle
yeah,
count.
one's more. Yeah, one's
And
more
one's
handsome.
One's
bank account.
attractive. Yeah.
Yeah,
And one
actually,
is,
I don't know about bank account. Somebody said, I don't know if it was on our channel or somewhere I read it, but like, and I've read it a couple times that I think that JT, they
He's
said
real
that
wealthy.
JT's like really successful real estate, built like he has buildings and like the Airbnbs. Like JT's like super. They were, and then one of them was like, I don't even know what he's doing on this show. He's super successful, and he's like, it's kind of weird that he's on here. So I don't know if that's true, but
Maybe
if it
he
is, it's even more weird. That being said, I think like JT did what Craig does. He spoke between the lines. He said something. He wanted to call her a bitch, but he didn't. But he's like, he kind of did, but he didn't literally.
Yeah.
He did it figuratively. All these things. He didn't say that Madison's husband thought they were happy, but he led you to believe that that's what was. Dude, this guy was weird, man. And now Craig's so mad. Craig, you do the same shit. And JT, you do the same. You guys are
And
mad at
no
each
one-
other for doing the same thing.
how no one has called that out except like Venita says something, but like how none of the cast has literally picked up on that. Venita says JT has a habit of overselling stories.
Right.
And like no one on the couch goes,
Wait a second. I know a guy who does that.
Yeah, because she wasn't when she was saying it. I think she's just pissed at him in the moment, so she's just trying to hate on him. But so yeah, I don't even think she noticed the correlation between the two.
No.
Nobody did.
They
But-
keep cutting to the shot of Craig like this. That's probably where they got that shot from.
Oh, yeah.
When she was like, JT, and he's probably like, cut to lunch. But yeah, these two idiots, they're doing the same shit.
Yeah.
And they're both real mad about it.
Yeah, Craig gets away with it, one, because he's soup's cute.
So cute.
He's so cutie. Craig's also a good time. Like,
Yeah.
Craig is fun. And JT is, at least from what we've seen on the show, not.
No.
Or at least he's
Chooses not to be. Like, that's the sucky part. And like, everyone's going to be like, bro, unsubscribe. Like, yes, JT, go. Please go. Venita, like, I don't hate Venita, but she's really bothered me. And so, like, bye, unless you want to come correct next year. But like you guys have said it before, if you didn't know who JT was and you sat next to him at a wedding, he'd probably be a really good time. Good time JT, the JT Venita talks about, I bet is fun and interesting and
So
not
then
a problem.
be that guy. Don't come on
listen,
this show
Yeah.
and try to be something you're not. Because even like his MO with everything is so flawed. So even when they were talking about the conversation that they had on FaceTime with Madison's husband
Yeah.
and him, bro, we all understand what was going on. They were probably just having a little bit of a lover's quarrel.
Yeah.
Because Austin's on the show. Austin's the one he was thinking about,
Austin.
not you, JT.
Yes,
And
like,
you could have.
Hello, this doesn't make a rocket scientist.
Correct.
Like,
And you could have made a best friend in Madison.
yeah.
If you were like, oh God, no. Like we were all hanging out and like if you understood what the call was actually about, explain it the way that it happened. And then you don't have to bring it up on camera because nothing happened.
Yeah.
Like that would have solidified you in the good graces of Madison. And maybe we would have gotten to see this fun wedding side of you.
Yeah.
But then when it gets brought up,
the fun wedding guy.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
know it's in there. All you have to say is I'm a landlord and a storyteller, and then all would be forgotten.
All would be
but
forgiven.
you're too dumb,
yes.
and you're too. And I know we're so mean to him about his appearance. He clearly hears none of it because he still believes that Madison's husband thought it was him.
I
by
don't
telling
think he
him.
believed that.
You don't think he believed what?
I don't think he believed that Madison's husband was jealous, that she was like the thing that he led everyone to believe that he said, or what, I don't think he believed that. I think we met this dude by, again, saying that, like, spilling the beans about Austin and Taylor. Like, that was his thing.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a good chance this dude is around town and, like, is successful and hangs out with the guys and goes to the bars and, like, knows Leva and the whole deal. And they needed somebody to spice things. Like, he probably was cast to be the guy that comes in and is like, well, Austin did the thing. Well, Craig lied. Well, Taylor did the thing. Well, Molly said, well, she sucked his dick and you broke up a marriage. And now it's just like, that's cool. If you can do that, you can make a lot of money. But it's a hard job. And it's like lying in real life. It's going to catch up with you. And I don't think JT, was cut out for that job. Like if I'm just taking all my emotions and everything out of it, I think that's probably what we're watching is JT got hired to do a job that season 1 we were like, well, this guy's annoying, but it worked. But now we're like, bro, you're just starting and it's not real. It's kind of fake and now you're trying to insinuate that you did this thing and you got a good, like, off. I'm over it. You fooled us season 1. Rookie quarterbacks that come into the league in the NFL and they blow everybody away because there's no tape on them, so no one can review their new moves or how they go to the left or the right. And you're like, oh, the greatest quarterback is going to win 100 million Super Bowls. And next year, that kid gets destroyed because everyone spent the offseason watching every single move, every game that he played in slow motion, and now we know all your tricks. Is
JT.
Yeah, and that's JT. That's what happened. So we know all his tricks, and like you said, he's not Craig. So,
but the problem also is, even though we know his tricks, we know Teresa Giudice's tricks, but Teresa came to play. So Teresa doubles down. She will fight
but
back.
She can handle that job. Like I know who that is, obviously, but I don't watch the.
She's
Free
a
tree.
No, I said I know who that is, obviously.
Yes,
but trust me, I'd be kicked out of the house.
I was
if
just
I
gonna
didn't.
say, how do you not?
I didn't I don't watch the shows, but obviously, like that's what I mean, though. Like, there's the Michael Jordans of the housewife, the Bethany. Like, there's some people who get hired and they know how to do the job.
Yes, no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm giving like another example of if he does want to commit and be that person of I'm the truth teller of the group, I will out you, and even though it might be rude or unwarranted or I'm doing it at the most inappropriate time, I'm still going to do it. But then you got to come to play. Then you have to show up and give all the goods. So when Andy was asking him about this conversation, he's like, we're not going to talk about that anymore. And Andy says, well, yeah, we are.
Yeah, I don't know if you know how this works.
Yes. And also,
I'm the big swinging dick in here.
The only reason we know about this situation is because you brought it up apropos of nothing.
Yeah.
You guys are hitting golf balls at like a golf simulation thing, and you bring it up. So if you're going to pull, like, you're going to start it, we're going to finish it, but then you need to be accountable for what you started.
Yeah.
And so for him to all of a sudden be like, I think we've done enough damage here and I'm just not going to talk about it anymore. It's like, no, you started it, finish it.
Yeah.
And furthermore, they squash all of it between him and Madison. And as soon as it's done, he says, well, now I just have to bring this up. And it's like, no, you don't get it. If you want to be the guy who's going to pull the pin in the grenade, then you need to stand up and stay in that room when everything blows up. You're going to be there either kicking the pieces around or helping people clean them up. Like, you can't just detonate and leave. That's not how these shows work. And then you can't say like, oh, we're ending it, and 2 seconds later come back and want to fight it and do a piss poor job of fighting it. That's housewife stuff. And you're not a housewife.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not
You
good
got
enough for that
Madison.
job.
I don't know if I've ever heard Madison apologize for anything, let alone for a reaction she had to something that was done to her. And you somehow pulled one out of her. And then you shit the bed and continue on and blow the whole thing up. Like, that is how you know this dude is not playing with a deck that I want to play with anyway. Like, I don't want to play cards with this guy. Like, he's just not good at this. Like, anyone would take that, would see what that was for gold. If you've watched the show for 2 seconds, you know that Madison's not handing out sorries to people.
Yeah.
I feel like he was rehearsing what he wanted to say before he got there, not realizing maybe that she was going to give that apology. And so he was like trying to, let me put it in layman's terms, or like, let me give it an analogy or whatever. And like, he probably just thought this analogy was so brilliant and was going to really get him out of jail to America, because Americans would understand if no one else was, he's just looking for people to get on his team. And so he's not even in the moment to listen, because he's just not comfortable. This is not your scene, bro. This is not for you. Like, that's just what I want to tell you.
Being on the show is not for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Being on this show is not for you, because you're too nervous
Not
and you're
in
having to
this
play
role.
catch up.
Not in the role of secret teller,
But
shit stirrer.
what happened to him, I think, is that I don't know if he came on the show thinking I'm going to be the truth teller / shit stirrer, but because he was so in love with Taylor and he knew this whole thing was messy, because even before the Taylor hooked up with Austin storyline came out, JT was doing the math. He's like, but she slept over your house the other night, because when I called her to go to coffee, she's like, oh, hey, I'm still like at Austin's, or I'm just leaving Austin's. I fell asleep here last night.
Yeah.
And also they had spent all that time that summer in Europe together and did have a really good time. And I'm sure they were drinking every night and every day. And I'm sure she told him certain things.
Yeah.
And so JT was putting the math, was doing the math and putting this whole story together. And I think we were in the 2nd episode of last season, and he's already calling Austin out to say, did you hook up with her?
Yeah.
And so he is getting all of this attention for being this great guy who's standing up for Taylor and is saying, like, Shep, who cares? Like, you lost this. He was, even though his delivery sucked, what he was standing for was, for me, I was happy to see it, because he kept saying, like, he would remember at that dinner that they were at on one of their trips, he's like, just stand up, be an adult. And like, Shep, you dumped her. You don't have a say in this anymore.
Yeah.
And Austin, she's getting whatever. Like, he was just standing up for her in ways that none of the other dudes were doing. And she was getting railed on more than they were. And they all did the same thing. Right?
Yeah.
And so I think he got bit by that bug of like, oh, it feels so good to be the one that's like standing up for truth and justice. And I'm going to be the one on the right side of history when it comes to the show. But I think that's why he came on this season being like, oh, rinse and repeat, right? Because that was, so like he came into last, he came in hot and it was gross. But when he's like, I'm going to perform a fuckboy exorcism at last year's finale. But everyone didn't hate him last year. And so he took.
Did they? I think the guys did.
The guys definitely did.
Yeah, but it wasn't like now where everyone's just like, shut up. You don't have a friend in the room.
Yeah. He knew some shit about some shit. And I think that's probably how he got on the show, is probably one producer here, like, this guy knows this, that, and the other. So, okay, we need someone to come on here and like just detonate little bombs here and there, because like we just need that. We're missing that. We need that right now. And then I don't think that he really probably understood that like they were going to paint him into a corner as such. Like, he was going to be that person the whole time. I think he thought he could do that, and then everybody would love him for being the truth teller. And then he would also then be able to start dating people. And probably Taylor would, as soon as America sees that I blow this whole thing open, she's going to come running and fall over with her legs open. And like, that's just, he's going to get to be one of the Sheps, one of the Austins, one of the Craigs. And like, he just was never going to be that. And you never had a chance to be that, A, because you're not good looking, but also producers, they cast people for a specific purpose. You don't just get to change your role just because like you decide like, oh,
But
I
he
did
could have
what I did.
executed it better, and
No,
that's
then he
his
would have
fatal
had a
flaw
better shot.
this season.
Exactly. But like they wouldn't have cast him if they knew he was a good executor of other things. I think that like we always talk about how the casting is so brilliant on this show. And I just think that a 10-season show, like you ain't got dummies in there. You know, I think that you learn who you're going to be able to pull puppet string, you know, and who's not going to have a shot in hell to be one of the Sheps and one of the Austins. And he was just never going to be, but you might lead him to believe like, no, yeah, you're going to do this here. And then like, and then next season we'll talk about a different arc and whatever. But like, I don't think they ever intended JT to be anything that was like in the in crowd. He was always going to be on the outside.
They were thinking he was going to be in with the in crowd, but I don't think they realized what a mess, epic fail he would be. Nobody would like him, and because they want these characters to have longevity. They don't want to keep like recasting.
If that's your role,
Not the side pieces, because I'm just now seeing you like, this is Mean Girls. This is Mean Girls, but with boys, mean boys. Every year, the new freshman transfer comes in and tries to like suck up to the Mean Girls, and they're like, we'll see. And they either make it or they don't. Most of the time, they don't, because that's not how the story goes.
yeah.
But we're here for it.
Well,
Mean Girls.
I am not here for them any longer.
I just think that even if he would have done, like they knew
You're
that
not
he
here
wasn't
for Shep
going
and
to
Craig
do.
and Austin?
No. I'm not here for the side characters sucking like the JT.
Yeah.
Because JT came in with such gusto that I thought that he was going to be around for a minute. And it's like, I don't, if you're a main character or you're bringing me in with some main character energy, I would like you to make it past 2 seasons, which by the way, he unfortunately might.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Might be
What
back
else
this
happened?
season.
JT.
Yeah, JT.
No, look at this. You guys, look at exactly
Is
what
there
we've done.
hair
We've
on
now
here?
just spent, no, I rolled over everything.
Ripping.
That we have spent this half of what we'll do on JT. Like there's what they brought him on to do is working. And if I just believe that they always like when you say like I don't think that they knew he was going to just suck and nobody would like him. I think that's exactly what they knew. To know JT for 5 minutes is to know you're never
You're
getting
gonna suck
in with
and nobody's
these guys.
gonna like you.
Yeah. And I think that they probably misled him to believe that like he would come in this way and then have a different arc in the second season and whatever. And I just think like that's just not what you were brought here to do. And this is just Hollywood and you, but on the East Coast, but or in the South or whatever.
Still Hollywood.
And
In the sense of what they're doing.
to lift the curtain a bit more, like there's a producer called a casting producer, and they cast people on these shows. And as much as you go through and have casting meetings and you have the people that you're like, oh yeah, these guys are gonna be perfect, bangers, there's also the people that everyone in all the producers talks like that guy's annoying, and they won't stop talking, and they won't stop bitching, and they won't stop crying about how fucking annoying this dude's still emailing me, texting me all the time.
You know he's a texter.
Yeah, and then there's a senior casting producer going, yeah, get him on the show.
The one.
Why? Because you guys won't shut the fuck up about him, and it's here.
Yeah.
It is happening. So it doesn't matter good or bad. Just are they going to get talked about? If so, cast them.
Little bitch.
Way to go, JT, dick.
The other stuff that happened that I just thought was kind of like sweet, and I just keep clocking it, is again in this episode, and it's happened so many times over the last 2 seasons, everyone says that they think Shep was the happiest and the best version of himself when he was with Taylor, which is just so, I don't know, that it's obviously it's not the first time we've heard it. It's just never not interesting to me.
Listen, sans
They
cheating
belong
and
together.
sans the egg day, and I know you just watched it, but like, weren't they?
They were.
No, I agree. I'm not surprised by it. Like, I didn't see that. It's just, I'm surprised by it with Shep. How have you heard this from so many people? And you also, because he will say, they're not wrong.
Yeah.
Or, because I just finished it last year at the reunion, he said, he's like, I think she probably is the one that got away. Like, I did screw that up. I was in the wrong. And it's just like, this is this section where someone says to the other person, then fight for them.
Right.
This is where, maybe that's where Craig heard it. Maybe Taylor said it to Shep, and
he's like, somebody said that.
Yes, and he's conflating all of it, like, in his own sweet little cutie patootie spritz mind. If I were someone who ended the best relationship I was ever in for really no good reason, in the sense that we never got one, because she was still madly in love with him. She was still kind of fighting for him.
Yeah, she was down to try again.
Yep.
Even like she put her tail between her legs and was on camera, and he's like, "Are you trying to say you want to try again?" And she goes, "Maybe." Like, she
multiple
fully
times
did that, and then he was like, "Let's just work on the friendship." Like, she's like, "Okay." Like, it was horrible to watch someone decide that everything you'd done to them, they were willing to put it all aside because the love was just so deep, and like, they just were so devastated about losing you.
But even now, I think it's crazy that like he can't, because everyone keeps bringing it up, where he just doesn't have the wherewithal to.
I've said it before, and it's silly to say out loud, but it is a thing in this little microcosm of Charleston. Shep is a catch. If you bag Shep, like, I know, but like Thomas Ravenel, like Catherine will always be the one who's got Thomas's kids. Thomas might get married and he might have more kids, but Catherine.
Well, he has with one person.
What?
He's had another kid with someone else?
3 kids.
3 more?
No. He had another kid after
with
Catherine.
Just like another
with some
lady.
person.
Okay.
But still.
But like my point is, Catherine got his kids, right? And the other girl, but like these dudes are a catch, and I do think there's a part, like I wrote here, and I think like I'm so confused by Taylor. There'll be a scene where I'm like, holy moly, she doesn't give a about this dude. She never wants to see this dude again. If he fell off the planet tomorrow, she would never think about it again. And literally, they will cut away to someone else and cut back to Taylor. And I'm like, oh my God, she's going to her grave, going to fight for this dude. She's in love. She can't sleep. Oh my, this is the crazy. And it will pin back and forth all day long. I had to rewind the part where she's like, I don't care. I don't care about something, and I don't care about that relationship anymore. And I was like, damn, she hates this dude. And I went back and rewound it, and she says, I don't care about her, and I don't care about that relationship. She's talking about
that girl.
I don't care about that girl, and I don't care about that relationship. Talking about Sienna.
Yeah.
So then I was like, you want that dude? So like, there's something going on. So I think part of me thinks that she's still like, I can get him. I can fucking get him.
I think
and
so
she's
too.
down for the chase, and she's competitive, and she's like, so like, does she love him? I don't know. Maybe. But I also think there might be like, nope, she just needs to, she's like being a dude, like a West, or like a somebody that's like, I just want to bag her and then I'm out. It's weird.
But here's what's interesting about when she said that. That is a moment, those words, that response. First of all, a woman who has moved on and evolved and so over it, at listening to everyone, all of your counterparts say that he's never been a better human being walking on this earth than he was when he had you by his side. After you just witnessed the most humiliating romantic like car crash on television history, along with the rest of the country, the world, global. I feel like people in Japan are like, oh no, like, oh, that is a huge bummer. And if you're so happy with Gaston, Beauty and the Beast, Gaston, I love that she said, because she's Beauty, so she wants everyone to remember he's the Beast and she's Beauty. Then like, I don't think that you say what I think that they wanted you to think that she was saying. I don't care about that girl, and I don't care about that relationship. It was edited to make you think that she's talking about the girl that she was and the relationship that she had. But it is not for, it was such a moment, and the camera was on her a dozen other times. It was not on her face for one single word of that sentence. It was on not just a different angle, 3 different angles, which tells me that they had to chop that sliced and diced 3 different ways to
There was
put
an
that
edit in
sentence.
I don't care about that girl. Like there was an edit between that. Like the
Yeah,
girl
you could
was
tell a
weird.
word was a
Yeah.
different voice
Yeah.
level than.
But I don't know
'cause-
about the I don't care about that relationship part. That seemed uncut. I don't know.
Right,
Anyways,
but you don't.
it
But
was
she's
weird.
not. It's not on her face. That is just
I
something.
thought it
If
was in
no,
the uncensored one.
it wasn't.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't on. Not for a single word of it. It was on Craig, Shep, and the back of her head. That's 3 cuts, and and I'm not saying like the audio could be just the single cut, but to not. That is just something that you want to see someone's face when they're
it's a
saying
big
that
statement.
So I just don't think it was I think it was sliced and diced, and so I don't know what they're leading us to believe. It seemed like they were leading us to believe that she doesn't care about that relationship, and that like that girl speaking about herself, because they were asking her questions about her, but she could have been talking
Well,
in
no,
reality
they were
about
talking
other things.
about
Andy says, does it make you uncomfortable to hear that he was the best version of himself? Everyone here is saying that. And she said, no, not at all. And then she goes directly into that sentence, but it's not on, but they cut away from her and they go to 3 different shots. Because I just thought it was so like, listen, when you see that here, it is because I probably have tried to say a sentence 5 times, and I just don't want you to see me say it 5 times. So half of it will be on me, the part that actually is strung together correctly, and the other half will just be on Courtney's face. That's what you do when you're trying to save your audience. Some like,
why not my face?
because you're usually asleep halfway through.
I'm not
And Courtney
asleep.
actually is like pepped up and like giving little like reaction faces. That's
do
what
reaction
pros
faces.
do. They
Red
do
leather,
that.
yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather.
I don't know.
every time I try to use a reaction shot from you, it's always you being like,
Because I'm contemplative.
what?
I'm the thinker. I'm contemplative.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
well,
you're
gonna
a
have
lawyer
to
and a storyteller.
multitask. You have to learn how to do both if you're going to be an actor
not
or
an
a
actor.
prize-winning journalist.
I did. I know I'm probably just gonna have to let it go, ho, but I can't. Again, Molly was like, "No, Shep, that was like I thought it was really sweet how you could be so vulnerable and send that text." Like, Madison said it in one of her confessionals. She was just like, "Hey, dummy, the girl you should be with is sitting right next to you, and she's wonderful and cute and plays the toot and tuba." Like, come on, Shep, get it together.
Well, even Andy said when he was like, "Who do you
Yes.
think would be the right one for you?" He's like, "Someone who doesn't need me." And he's like, "Look to your left."
That's right. I was so happy he said that.
Yeah.
I was
Everyone
also,
keeps putting her on the spot, and she does not appreciate it.
Yeah,
no, I get
it's
it, but
weird.
she's not here right now, Molly, so I'm not
Forced.
putting you on
I
the
know.
spot. But I get it.
Also, Molly, you're on the fast track to looking like Jennifer Coolidge. Just kick it down a notch on the fillers. I love you.
Oh my God,
it's
me
the
too.
right move. It's the right move.
It is. This is your official Amber Light. Pump the brakes.
Yeah. So
Maybe-
much time. Like it'll all dissolve. Actually, it won't.
It
Oh,
won't.
God.
That's what I was just gonna say. Maybe get some
I
of
mean,
it.
it will. Don't worry about it, Molly. Just no more. No more.
Maybe get some of it dissolved.
Yeah, if that's a thing.
Yeah, you can. It hurts, but you can do it.
The thing going back to when Paige, this is a Paige and Craig thing. When Craig said the thing about John Hamm, I've watched this 1,000 times. This is so great, and he's like, "Oh my God, we're so different." There's been like, so she's kind of put out this thing of I've worked my whole life to get to this point. I think Christy or somebody was like, what the hell do you do? And I'm not necessarily agreeing with that. I think they do work hard. But it did make me think for half a second about all the people who were like, oh no, Paige 100% used Craig. She used the show. She used the whole situation to further her career. And I'm like, holy moly, was Paige's dream to be a reality celebrity? And like, cause she's of that age growing up where that was a thing. And was Craig just the best Like, was this part of the plan? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're like, oh, they're going to get back together and it's going to be a whole planned thing. And I'm like, you're silly. But that's also like, now I'm thinking they're not going to get back together. But is this part of Paige's secret diary master plan?
She's the
Sorry.
conspiracy theorist.
I
I don't.
know.
How about this? I don't think so for two reasons. One, I remember when she first started on Southern Charm, she was very nervous and she was like, "I don't think I'm going to do this. I think it's going to like ruin my entire life." And I like, hold on one second.
Yeah,
Not
but it
Southern
was her
Charm. Not Southern Charm.
parents,
I
Summer
meant
House, yeah.
Summer House. And so then her dad said, "Listen, it's an amazing experience that you were just given this like once in a lifetime opportunity to throw yourself into. Do it. And if you hate it, trust me, daddy will be there. I will get you out of this. Like, you're not locked into it. So just give it a try." And so there was that. And also, I do really believe that when they were first dating, and for God knows how long, I don't know how long the relationship has been off the track, but like when he showed up for one of the summer house parties where they were doing prom and she was just going to go alone because her dude was somewhere else and he surprised her. Honestly, I think that is the happiest I've seen Paige ever doing anything. I mean, she was lit up like a Christmas tree when he walked through the front door.
Listen, I'm not saying that there wasn't a real relationship there. I don't think Paige, even if it was in the Harriet the Spy Secret Diary master plan, I don't think Paige would have agreed to do it with someone she was like, no, I cannot be with this dude. Like, it worked perfectly. You know what I mean? Like, there was Andreas, what?
Andrea.
That dude, that to me, like, and I've said that, rewind, like, bang, that stop, do not pass go. That's the dude. Like, they could have been happily ever after.
Really?
I do, but obviously not because it didn't work out and he's married and happily now. So I think those two, yes, it would have been great. But I think that Andreas wasn't on another show. He didn't check all the boxes. And again, this is her field. I am making this all up just because I've read comments, I've heard things, I've been watching this whole thing go down. And then for her to say a thing like that, this is crazy. In a good, like, that's, to me, that's someone who's like, not even in, I'm not going to do this as like Mr. Evil, but it's not. It's just like everything's going according to plan. This is part of my vision, is John Hamm cracking about my relationship with Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper on New Year's Eve. Like, pinnacle, and not even pinnacle, just part of the roller. It was all planned out. It was God's will. It was Paige's will.
It's God's will.
Listen, I just don't take Paige as being like that diabolical.
What's diabolical about having a plan and masterminding it? You're saying
Craig
that
a part of the plan?
Well, clearly he was, and not anymore.
No. I mean, was he in on the plan?
Craig, no.
Okay,
not in Mike's version.
I would much more so believe my original thing where it's like they realize that like you guys are great now. You guys are Bravo's darlings now. You know what could get you God knows how much everything it is a breakup and then we both date someone else for a hot minute and then we are spotted at a cafe somewhere with hoods down, whatever.
No way.
Oh my God. Like, no, if you guys don't do that, you're wasting everyone's time.
They're not getting back together. No way.
Listen,
NW.
Equally, I'm not shitting on that idea at all.
Because they've done just enough to make it real, but they've not set each other on fire yet. There's
but they've poured gas on each other.
But not to.
No,
I don't think they're getting back together anymore. And I don't know.
Listen, I wasn't even thinking that anymore. But I'm just saying, if you're going on with this story about like that there is this plan, then this one makes way more sense than Paige. I just don't think that she would. I don't think she's that horrible of a person to do that to someone single-handedly. And he doesn't know that that's happening. And she stays with him for 3 years, and he gets the ring and thinks that they're getting married and builds the house and builds her the room and a closet. Like, that's just, I do not think that she's that girl.
Either.
I know a lot of y'all do. I personally don't
either.
think she's that girl.
Yeah.
But I would totally entertain the second thought, even though I haven't lately. That was an original thing, but that could also be wishful thinking, you know.
Even
I know
though
that
her
there's a
mom
difference.
raised her to be a man in a man's world,
Yeah,
and
I just
like
3
that's
years
all
is a
she's
long
thinking about is
time
why did my mom teach
to
me that?
stay with someone.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a long.
Not if you
slog.
hate dudes.
I don't think she hates dudes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, what else happened?
That was honestly,
Yeah, it's kind of a snoozer.
that was
of a
it. It was a
thing.
real snooze fest. That's
Minnie can attest.
Listen, it's very clear just because it's one last thing with the Paige and Craig thing. Obviously, everyone on Southern Charm is none too pleased with Paige, and nobody on Summer House is pleased with Craig. And so it's like everything that just keeps coming out from either side of things,
Yeah.
it's not giving us more clarity. So, that a box of my stuff showed up at my house. Like, okay, that you guys broke up.
Yeah, that's what happens.
That's what happens, so it's like you can say this
Lucky
thing that
you
might
got
sound
your
like
shit
some
back.
salacious soundbite, but it's actually not. And we still really, bless you. Probably what happened between the two of them is just way less convoluted than we're making it. She didn't feel supported in the ways that she wanted to. They wanted two totally different things. His biological clock's ticking. He wants the white picket fence, all this stuff. She did not even want to start to try and think about stuff like that till she was 35, which would be in 5 years. And because of all that, she fell out of love with him.
Yeah, and
They
that's
broke up.
Yeah, 100%. Like my whole theory is probably bullshit. Like the conspiracy is not. When she said that, I was like, it triggered me to like remember all these other comments and be like, wait a second, this is probably way more likely. And the timing of it, right? Like he's again waited 3 years and is ready to settle down right when she's like, no, it's happening, man. The podcast is hitting. We're on tour. Like it's happening. And so like, I thought we were going to ride this train together. You've stopped. And now I feel like you don't support me and this is a problem and I'm out.
Listen, I'm going to bring something up, and I'm not keeping score because I don't do that. But I just want to point out that all of this about I'm on tour. Oh, he's, not supporting me. I'm really nervous about this. He's not calling, or he is calling too much, or whatever the hell. I did not realize that when Paige dropped this bomb on the breakup bomb on him, which I don't mean to say it's a bomb. I don't know. Maybe he should have seen it coming. I'm not saying, I don't want anyone to get riled up about that. I don't know if it was a bomb or not, but he was literally about to walk out on stage for his own show. Him and Austin were doing a live show with their podcast. And apparently she called him right before that. According to Craig, if we're trusting Craig, which I know many of us are not, I just need everyone to know.
Wow.
I know that that's an option, but if that's a spicy addition to the detail to the plot.
If she called him 20 minutes before he was walking out on stage for his live performance to break up with him, that was the final, F you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she did, but I'm saying if she did, that was not a mistake.
But if she did also, she's not stupid, it's intentional. But I also don't really understand, if this was if your whole thing was then you were going to tell us about how unsupportive he was when you're going on this live show tour, that just seemed really sloppy to be that didn't seem well thought out.
No, I think she wanted, if she did do
or
this.
if she wanted him to feel the way that he had been making.
Yes,
Okay, that I understand that.
But
if that's what you're saying.
But I thought they broke up on Thanksgiving.
No,
too.
it was after Thanksgiving weekend.
But why?
Because
Why did you think that?
Because they talked
No,
about
hold
they spent
on.
with.
I know. I'm not saying it happened. I'm saying I just remember my point that I'm about to make is that there's been so many things that I'm like, what? I thought you guys, you broke up. You weren't broken up at Christmas when Andy asked you. That was two, when Andy was like, they cut back to you said you broke up after Thanksgiving, but in December, I think Andy knew. I think Andy knew they'd broken up, and that's when they cut back to
pressing.
he was pressing. Like, any new news? What? Oh, like marriage?
Yeah.
No, motherfucker. Like, you guys are broken up, son of a bitch. But like, so there's just been, I remember we broke up on Thanksgiving. And then now he's always a couple of days after Thanksgiving. And at one point it was in December. And at one point it was like, well, she called, but I wasn't sure. And then we spent all of that. So my point is like, what, Craig, or what the
There is a definitive date.
when did she call?
This is making my conspiracy brain go crazy, because that is something that like Andy could be a part of. Andy could have been the one to say like, you know what you guys should do.
No way.
I'm telling you,
No way.
Andy is such a little fucker. I am obsessed with him, but like you see him, he's sparking fires all over town. He does this for a living.
But I don't think he gets into bed with the people that are hired on his network.
You know, because he's like in legal trouble because of like doing a little party in here and there with, again, allegedly. But
No,
like
but
he doesn't exactly have boundaries with the people that he works with. And I don't expect him to. I don't want him to. I want him to know the inside outs of all of them.
Yes.
You know? I think it makes great television. I think he helps our situation.
Yes and no, because like Bethany used to always talk about how it was a thing that she would get invited to his stuff, but none of the other housewives would. So I just think that he is not as in bed as what your conspiracy theory might be.
Well, if he
leading
doesn't
us
want to
towards.
be, but if there are some people that he's running a network over here. Come
Yes, but I just
on.
don't think that he's meeting with Paige and Craig being like, you guys are on the outs. I've seen the dailies. I know they don't get dailies, but and this is how we're going to spin this breakup, because it's going to be gangbuster ratings for both shows, and it will help your career. I just don't think he's doing that.
After Scandival, you don't? I'm not saying I think
do
he
not
is.
put that past him.
But
even
after
for 1 second.
Scandival, it's
I
a
think he's
whole
messy.
new world out there.
I think he'll ask certain questions, plant certain things, say, oh, you should go on a date with this person or whatever. Like, I think he'll do things of that nature, but I don't think he's calling them up to plot, this is how we're going to do your breakup. I just don't. Because then why isn't he in Mauricio and Kyle's? Why isn't he in the mix of Drew?
20-something year marriage.
Yeah,
like,
that's a
not
whole
two
other level.
fucking
Like
idiots
that's
boning each
he's
other.
got some morals. Come on,
Like,
because this is why I could like. Hold on, bear with me, please.
bearing.
Now I'm just wondering, because I can, that was this entire thing with the Spritz Loverboy war. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if that was also just a part of the show. Watch this.
Okay. Guess what? Kyle Cook stepped in again. I think that the Spritz Wars are back on. We will await Craig Conover seeing this episode and seeing what his response is.
Like,
What is that?
when he asks Kyle, what's
Name
a good thing
about
name
him
a
in
good thing about
business.
how Craig runs his business. Kyle could just not do it, and Amanda sitting next to him being like, oh my God. Like, it just, in retrospect, you got to plan a season before the season starts, or you got to plan you got to plant some little things, like, to come off stage from that, ask for a thing, and then like the camera's already on, like you're waiting for you to come off, and that's the thing you say. Kyle Cook steps in it again. Craig Conover, we await your response.
I don't know. I don't
Listen,
think-
you just got to be open to possibilities.
I'm open.
And also we can be so pissed at no story, but then we also have to be grateful for the story that people are working to give us. If there isn't one, I expect y'all to make one up, or to strike something up, to cause a collision of sorts, like.
Yes, and I do think he is shady and stirs the pot and asks shady questions 100%. I just don't think he's doing it in a totally mapped out, plotted way. I think he's
I think you're giving him a lot of like
Credit?
I mean, I just want to be clear that like I don't think he's a bad person for doing this. I don't think it is a sin to do this. I think that everyone is hired to do a job, and sometimes the job, like Whitney always says, there are things that just happen that no one planned for. Off season,
Catherine Dennis's pregnancies.
well, there's that, but he doesn't even list her because I think he hates that happened and he didn't have control over it. But he says, off season or whatever, Thomas randomly meets this girl from Santa Barbara, this nurse who's the crazy lunatic. Like sometimes God drops a gift in your lap and you get a rip roaring season because of it.
She was nuts.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And I think that those happen way more often in the beginning than they do later on when the cast has more money and more experience and knows not to dabble here and like just kind of is better at their at what?
There's 100% you produce a season.
Yeah.
Like reality shows, it's a little secret. Sorry. They're not, the only thing real is that like you're just filming a situation that's already been taking place, right? But that shit is produced. It's always like before the season starts, what's the storyline? What do you got going on? What do you got? Oh, you're launching a new bar. Great. You're doing a thing. Oh, you're doing a spritz. You're doing a spritz. Oh, okay, cool. Like, and then yes, the magic shit pops up and whatever, and you deal with it. But also, Andy Cohen came from development. Like this dude is full on. Like Andy Cohen was so good in development that he, I think, ran Bravo for a while, and now is Andy Cohen. Like this dude is one of the best producers in the game.
So do you think he's meeting with Craig and Paige being like, here's how we're going to roll out your breakup?
I don't know if he's doing it with Craig and Paige, but I don't think he's doing it with Craig and Paige because I think Paige has her own plan and no one's with it. Boot. I wouldn't be like all that stuff that you just showed, like going out, like that's his social media team watching the show and being like, okay, cool. When he comes off stage, give him the mic. We're going to ask him about the thing.
Yeah.
Like he knew he was coming off to do that. You know, he might not have been planned before the show, but because the show happens, you react, right? But it's all a game. It's all the game. It's
and I
all,
agree with that. I just don't think it's okay. Do you remember? And I think I referenced part of this last episode, and I can't remember how the entire thing went down. But basically, Jill had hit up Jill from Real Housewives of New York early seasons,
and didn't want to film with Bethany.
No, or didn't want to film with Bethany, but she had gone to Andy and she said, she was like, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Like, this is going to make such good TV or something like that. I think she had even recorded the conversation that they had. And Andy was like, what are you doing? This is insane. Like, and granted, it was a long time ago and it was early days on all the Housewives franchises. So maybe the stuff like this didn't happen. So it's like, I think I'm not wholeheartedly disagreeing with what you're saying. Like, obviously, they're meddling in all of this stuff, but I just don't think it's as meddled as it's the same with the Shep stuff. Yes, do I think that, you know, Shep wanted to have a great redemption season for himself and blah, 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 but 100%. But do I really think that he was getting ready for the LA Olympics? Do I really think that he like didn't like this girl and none of this stuff came from like there was a seedling of truth for the origin of it.
Yeah.
And that's what I think with Andy also. Like, do I think he meddles? 100%. Do I think he's meeting with them and storyboarding the divorce or the breakup? No.
Reality shows are the TV version of tabloid magazines. There's a seed of truth, but we're going to make it way cooler.
Yeah.
And way more entertaining.
Also, just to play the, you know, they also need to come forward and tell you about these things, like what Jill Zarin did. Now and again, they need to pop in and be like, you can't believe what Jill Zarin just did and called me and said she did this. I think she even recorded a conversation. I'm like, what are you doing? Maybe that's because Andy liked Bethany more. Andy was planning way bigger things with Bethany. Bethany was going to take the show to new heights. It wasn't going to be with Jill. So Jill, now he gets to take her story and tell you about it. So now we all feel like we trust Andy a little bit more because he's telling us this story. Because you never like Jill. Thanks so much. Thanks for playing, but that's just not your role here. But I am going to use that to
leverage this.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're watching story. That's what we're here for. The story of a real person's life, a fake person's life. Story is what we're interested in. And it's these people's jobs to craft a story that we all sit here and talk hours about and love to do.
There's also something where, like, if a cast member like Jill comes to you and tells you that she just recorded someone's phone call or conversation or whatever, if you have a half a brain, then you know immediately, well, I can't trust you. You've just recorded another castmate's conversation. I think producers like to find the person, talk about it, and make a solid choice based on, like, we all know this person's down to play. We're going to go to them. When you come to them offhanded, I just don't think that that's a wise decision to just take that. Like, it could be something that you're like, wow, that sounds like gold. But, like, if you haven't already thought that through, you're basically just putting yourself, you're a sitting duck for them to do that thing to you, or you haven't done, it's like, when you're doing jury selection, you got to really see, like, who is this person? You got to talk it out with 7 other people to be like, does this person fit the framework of someone we can trust and who is going to go the distance with us. So just that specific thing, when Bethany is the person that Jill is trying to do it to, it's just like, Bethany's more important than Jill, clearly, But I just want, like I said, just want to reiterate that, like, I don't think it's like a shady thing to do. I think that, like, everyone has to just be open to, like, this is entertainment, and, like, there's either story or there's not. And so if someone has to make one, fine. But, like, with JT and Venita, like, I'm just here to say we don't want that story.
No.
Please, thank you.
Well, we don't want fake stories. Like,
Well,
fake stories, or, like, fine, fool us though. Like, make us believe it's real.
Exactly.
If it's fake, like
always
Shep
say
and
that.
Venita and
Yes.
JT, then we're like, ow, like
we're
you
not
can't
stupid.
Fool. Yeah, we're a
but
little
don't
stupid.
treat us like we're stupid. like we're in on it, okay? But, like, we don't need to talk about it. And, like, you're making us talk about it because you're doing such a sloppy job.
Yeah,
and that's
you
insulting.
said it earlier. It's a suspended disbelief. Like, it works until it doesn't.
Yeah.
And
But
when
also-
it doesn't, we're out.
Now you've embarrassed us all.
Yeah.
If you look at the best seasons of these shows, they're just not staged in the sense of, yes, I
Yeah.
get it. We need to get this conversation again, or we're all going to this vacation with everyone on the cast, and when does that happen in real life? And we're doing it to get the drama and all that stuff. I get that. But, like, Catherine coming in and hooking up with Thomas, and also, like, the other guys
She
on the
slept
cast.
with, like,
that
the entire cast.
I was just going to say, and then the other guys that she
Yeah.
hooked up with on the cast. Then you look at, like, Austin having that threesome and Madison busting in and it's going up on Instagram, or Shep and the whole Taylor debacle, and then Taylor's brother passing away, and then what's Olivia's brother passing away. Like, people say all the time, oh, if someone put a camera on me, I don't know if I would be that interesting. Yeah, obviously, there are some people in life that are more of a live wire than others. But life is also just interesting, period. Like, people sometimes tell me, this is a random example, but one of my best friends, he went to like Israel for, like, your birthright trip or whatever. And I guess you have to work, do something, like, for the country and the government, whatever. So he's like, I guess I'll be an EMT. I'm like, you're an EMT? He's like, no, but it was like, they'll just train me. And so his first day on the job, it's just him and this woman in the back of an ambulance, and she's in labor. And he's like, I don't know what to do. This kid is coming out of her. So he delivered her baby, but, like, had never done that before. Totally. And so this is what I'm saying, where it's just like, that kind of shit happens in life. Like, my friend's an interior designer. He's a normal person. He's not, like, walking the line of craziness every day. But all of a sudden he finds himself in a position where he's delivering a baby in a foreign country where he doesn't speak the language, and he's never delivered a baby. Also, he's gay. He's never been in that region once. Well, he was when he was born, but that was it. Doesn't have a memory of it. So I'm just saying, like, I think that life is really interesting and shit happens that it makes a great show when produced properly.
Yeah.
Meaning like they're not saying like, oh, this season, Shep, you have to break up. It's not The Hills. Like, you know how The Hills
I
was
just
so
think
staged?
that they can feel out like when things are happening and when they're not. And so like you've got to be on the ready with something. And if something natural does happen where Catherine does just walk into a bar one day and sits down with Shep, Whitney, and whoever, and like that happens, great. With JT, we don't need you anymore. Thanks. We'll call you next season. But like while you've got a plan for something to happen in the hopes that something fantastic drops in your lap, but you got to be on the ready. This is a paid gig, man. Got a job, got a jorb. And no one's hating on it, you know.
Oh my God, Cory Booker, leave me alone.
Is he still on the floor?
I think he just they're at recess, but he
He's
also
still on the floor.
I think he's
just
been up for,
walked
like,
off the
24
Senate
hours.
floor. He says,
That he beat the record then.
And he went 24 hours.
but he has the things on you. Get it together, buddy. Get it together. What else happened? We're done?
Man, you tune out of politics and then someone beats Strom Thurmond's record. You know, Strom Thurmond has a record, but he was fighting against civil rights.
Like Catherine
So-
Dennis's great
So it would
granddaddy.
be great for Cory Booker to. That'd be great.
100%.
I don't even know what he's fighting about right now. What's he on the
Hi,
floor
Debbie.
for? Save TikTok? I'm here for that.
Oh my God, Cory just texted me too.
One thing I just want to tell Craig, I need you to stop talking with your hands because you look like that
on,
gif
hold on.
of Zach Galifianakis where he's got the teeny hands.
What do you mean? This is how I did.
And you've got the wonk finger.
He does.
Oh,
But
yeah.
butter
Did you-
knife.
are you
incident.
even looking at this?
No, I am. You think he has tiny hands?
His hands are a little weird.
They're very
I just
weird and
think
they're
it's weird
too
that
small
he-
for him.
He does this one.
No,
Like, it's
he-
always-
wait, my
Because they're too small. And he has a wonk
my
finger.
pinky.
That's how it goes.
I know. Your impression was really good.
Thank
No,
you.
his hands are a little strange. I don't know if they're just so pointy.
No, his fingers are like this long. And the rest of his hand, like if his hand is normal sized, then the palm takes up an extra inch where everyone else's fingers start going. His don't start. He has very little fingers.
I have to go back and look at it. I always thought that it was because his fingers just tapered so much at the top that they look.
I mean, that could be something too.
It might be.
To find out that Madison found out that Brett had that spot on his kidney, to find out that she found out on camera was like my jaw hit the floor. Because like I said, I think that like that is definitely not a conversation that I would blame anyone for having to do a reenactment of to show us how it went down. But like that is just, I cannot believe that we witnessed her finding out such a devastating and scary piece of information.
Especially after she just lost her dad from cancer.
And that's what I understand why he put off telling her about it.
Same.
But I still can't believe he held on to it and then decided that the time to tell her was on camera.
Also from a dude that like doesn't seem like he's super interested in being a part of the show. Like he's there and he's
Yeah.
doing his scenes
He's
when
doing
he
it for
needs
his
to
wife, though.
for
Yeah.
Madison. But like given the choice, he's probably not wanting to be on a
Yeah.
reality show. So to be like to get convinced, like, hey bro, what if we did that? Because like that probably wasn't his idea. That was a producer who convinced him to do it on camera.
Oh, I don't. You think he told the producer about the cancer or
can't.
the spot on his?
There's
Kidney
there's
before-
1% chance that dude that it's his idea to tell her on camera.
Okay, then
Wow,
I don't.
okay.
If those are the options, then if like, then I don't believe that was the first time she found out, because I do not see that guy as being a like. Then she
know.
already knew, and she said, "Would you mind telling me this on camera?"
maybe.
God, then I'm the idiot that just believes everything.
Well, here's
Because
the
I
thing.
believe her saying that
I
that's
do
when she
too.
found out, and I believe that he's not the guy to like stage
Yeah.
something with the producer of that magnitude.
Yeah. I don't believe for an instant that he worked with a producer and that she didn't know. That to me that's like 0.00
Same.
negative 100 chance to me. I look at everything like this isn't the first time. But I do respect a character who has never given me reason to believe that she's done anything like that. And so that's why I'm choosing to believe that she found out on camera.
Same.
But I am very open to the fact that, like, that is crazy town to tell your wife that for the first time on like that. It doesn't really hold up to anything else. It's just that she's got a perfect record with me thus far. So I'm going to just choose to go with God, and God is Madison on this. What blew me away, she handled it so cool that I almost believe she blacked out. And
It did, like, her face was kind of like,
That's exactly why I do believe that it was the first time.
Same.
Because she was in shock, and Madison is always
but like
so
didn't
quick.
lose her shit though. That's the thing. But she was just because she's controlled. Madison is nothing.
No, but she was the exact. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think I'm saying what you are. So go ahead.
I was going to say because she was also the exact same way when Hudson walked in the house after he got beaten up by that kid.
Yeah.
She had that same, like, she was under control, but
Yeah.
you could tell, like, holy shit, this is a real moment.
Yeah.
Like, she's in shock.
Yeah. I bet you she watches that back and this moment back and goes, I don't even remember that happening. Because she just sees red, but like, you don't know she's seeing red, but you know Madison, so you know she's seeing red. But that was just, we don't talk about Madison nearly enough because she is such perfection and living a real life, and real important things are happening, and this is the circle of life, and it's the family building, and like all, like just perfect, but then still bringing it on camera, still taking JT down to Chinatown whenever she needs to. And so I never want her to think that like we don't so appreciate her sharing this massive life shattering thing that may or may not happen. Could, they're on the road to, is he going to be okay? And I just want to thank her
for her service.
Yeah. For being the perfect reality star. And not even, and if I had more time, I would think of a better term for it, because that just feels dumbed down. But for being the perfect real life of a character to walk through life, and has earned every single cent of what she's gotten.
Yeah, agreed.
Also, I would like to personally give Madison a shout out, and to the person who went and found one of our videos from the good old days, the pre-curse ban, and even mentioned it. Yeah, I found a pre-curse ban video, like one of the first early videos where we cussed all the damn time. Before we did our thing, somebody commented that they found that video, and I was like, oh, the good old days. But the montage of Madison just like railing people, but cussing, like I love that she cusses so much.
No, I know,
It's
me
so
too.
funny. I love
Our
it.
people.
Yeah, our people.
When Shep says, they play the clip back of him of saying that he would never date a 40.
I was so happy they played that
Yeah,
clip.
totally. And he just laughs it off like, oh, probably would take back a lot of things that I said before. Anyway, but can we talk about the phenomenon that is
Oh my.
younger women
But listen, no
going
one
after
disagreed.
older dudes? No,
I mean,
but like,
you're
can't you
one of
just...
those.
This isn't a phenomenon. Like, all of a sudden, we didn't just turn around and women wanted to date older men. Women have always dated older men because, if I may quote myself from last episode, girls mature more quickly than boys.
Yeah.
So if you're 30 dating a 21-year-old guy, you may as well be dating someone who's still playing with Play-Doh and like giant crayons at lunchtime.
Nothing wrong with Play-Doh.
No. This so-called phenomenon that he's calling out is just the most, it's like, no, bro, you're just older now and are trying to, now you're understanding it for the first time. Girls wanted to date older guys when Catherine Dennis was dating Thomas Ravenel. When Patricia married all of her husbands.
This is not a new thing. This is
it's life. You ding dong.
Old as time. You got it, Minnie?
But someone should have called him out to be like, yeah, bro, this isn't new.
I have a take that like is going to be very unpopular, but I just want to say that before I even say it, that yes, I still believe it is like Barf City gross disgusting. if you are a 40 something, 50 something year old man who has no plans of marrying anytime soon and has accepted that about themselves, and if you're honest about it and blah 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 whatever, and honestly, even if you're not, it is probably less cruel to go spend your time with 20-year-olds than it is to maybe take Molly for a spin and take those last, I don't know, listen, I think women are having babies into their 50s now. Like, you gotta have some money and the right doctors, but like a 20-year-old has much more time to bounce back and have plenty of time to have multiple children and find love after they are taken around the block by an older man than someone like I would be bummed if you took the last like few years of my childbearing years and then decided you didn't want to settle down or have children.
Sure, I agree with that, but I also think that
Have another side of it.
Oh, go,
I just want to
please.
say that I am aware that the other side of that would be that 20-year-olds don't have the life experience to know when they are being totally manipulated, and that does leave lasting scars sometimes. Trust me, if you didn't have the life experience before, you will
You'll have it now.
more than you ever knew possible. So I'm not saying that it is a perfect scenario, but I was just thinking about how, like, if Shep were to do that to Molly, as opposed to finding just another girl around Charleston, if he doesn't plan on getting married anytime soon, I would hope that he does stick to dating 20-year-olds because it's more fair.
Sure. And I don't agree with anything. I don't disagree with anything you're saying. What I was going to add is that a lot of times dudes who have no desire to ever settle down, whether they're being forthright about it with themselves or other people or not, subconsciously they know this about themselves.
Yeah.
And that's part of why they're not going for someone closer to their age, because they know, oh, Molly would call me out on my shit.
Yeah.
Like this bad behavior. Even Taylor started to call him out on the bad behavior.
Yeah.
And she was just about to turn 30 when they broke up.
Yeah.
So it's like, right, as women mature and get older, they a lot of times just get the chutzpah to say, this is terrible behavior.
Yeah.
Or we've been dating for this long, pulling a Craig, we've been dating for this long. I want to have kids. I want to get married. I want to whatever. The chances of a 24-year-old saying that to you are far slimmer than a 34-year-old.
Yeah.
And I think that they know that. And that's why they're also not going for women more age appropriate.
And like, you never wish that kind of, like, if you aren't aware of what's going on and you are a 24-year-old dating someone that's in their 40s or 50s, and then that heartbreak is going to suck so bad. Oh my God, it sucks so bad. But there is, you never learn more.
You learn a lot.
It is one of the biggest life lessons that will be a bittersweet thing when you're older, because you'll always remember like when that happened to you, and like I don't know, assuming nothing bad comes of it and you're able to just bounce back and whatever, like I recommend it. It's just it's a milestone, It's just one of those
rite
things.
of passage.
Yeah.
Can't shove you into the woods for 3 days to survive alone anymore.
And if you're young enough, you carry that. You will never forget that when it happens, and you will carry that forever. And you will know when your daughter's dating someone in their 20s.
I was just going to say, you'll pass it down to your children.
You'll pass it down
and
to them. They won't listen to you until they do, when it's too late. and yeah, it's a circle of life. I think that's all I got.
Good show, everybody. Good show.
Susan Scales had said, y'all, I love that I get to say y'all. Y'all are why I stuck with this season of Southern Charm. Best Bravo recap show. Yes, you are. Which not only did I love that compliment, Susan, thank you, but I do think that this is good. Maybe this won't air because it's so we're root tooting ourselves. Our own tubas, Molly. I do think though, even in a bad season, when you're listening to a recap show that's like actually talking about the minutia of human behavior, even when the season's not hitting on all 6 cylinders, it's still super interesting because human behavior is always interesting.
Exactly. And I think that's why we have been able to do this show so well with Southern Charm, because when you have nothing to work with, you've got to, the show must go on. And so that's when we just started really diving into all the little things about these people that we've learned over these 10 seasons. That is one thing that is like it's a double-edged sword of watching a show for as long as you do, that's been on for so long. If someone is just jumping into something and we have a take that like, they're like, what are you talking about? They just did this. Well, they didn't just do that. Let me tell you, they've been doing that since season 2. So like, I'm sure that some people are like, can you just talk about what we watched on the episode this week? And I'm like, we could. We'd be done in 7 minutes.
I was just going to say that. That's why our shows are 2 hours long, because we will go back and cite season 2 and we'll give the back like story for it.
Yeah. So if you haven't watched the entire run, sometimes you may think I am going a little hard on the beeve, but I'm not. You missed an episode. You missed a season. And I also just want to say that I don't think that Courtney has seen any of like the sneak peeks for the reunion part 2, or I'm sure she would have said something, and I'm not going to break it to her.
Okay. Wow.
I mean, it's just going to make you want to scream.
Okay.
This Venita is such a fucking idiot.
Karen McLean said, Venita dresses impeccably, is stunningly beautiful, and her talking fashion on Watch What Happens Live was interesting and authentic. By the way, I agree with all of that about Venita. The true storyline of Southern Charm that is worrisome to me is that these elderly entitled white men with money behaving predatorily to young women, no matter how much ayahuasca Shep takes to be relevant and try to reframe his Dorian Gray antics, he is hitting his 50s. Whitney is Nabokov vile vibes. I don't know what Nabokov is. What he said to Molly about her eating is the extent of his Southern charm. Let's not forget Molly was a supermodel. Austin and Craig yawn. Shep, Sienna yawn. Thank God for Madison, who is effortlessly entertaining. There is something to the fact that like a lot of the dudes on this show have really bad behavior that we've picked apart all season. But, you know, Venita just was doing a dance with one of them, which is why she got sucked into it. She genuinely, she said it at the reunion, she genuinely fell for JT. And if anyone doesn't believe it, they can, in her words, not mine, they can F off.
Yeah.
So like
you can fuck off, Venita, because I see you and I'll never not see you.
Yeah, like their behavior's bad, but she was doing a dance with JT. Barf.
Yeah. Olga Kolosky says, Natalie's opinions are predictable. Same thing over and over. Kyle bad, Craig dreamy, rich, handsome, wonderful, can do no wrong. You forgot great smile, beautiful hairline, gorgeous eyes.
Okay. Period. Remember, Craig was going to manage JD's bourbon line and laughing, and you laughed about it. Joey Hines has said he thought he was. JD had other ideas, LOL. Natalie said that had to be such a humbling moment for him to find out that he was never even in consideration for the position.
We've all thought we were.
After being so confident that was in the bag, to which I replied, this is Craig's life in a nutshell. Is Craig thinking, oh, I got this one. And no, you didn't.
Danny did, though. They wanted her to have the job.
That's right. She did.
Yeah.
She got the job, didn't she?
She was a
she was a
person
wine
already.
person.
Yeah.
By the way, though, what was his name that started the Gentry everything?
JT.
JD was he was one of the grossest characters to me. I couldn't stand him cheating on his wife, being so gross, walking everywhere with his cowboy hat on.
No, he's the dude from Anchorman.
Yes, no, 100%.
Whammy! He's that guy. Like every time I see him, and he's I'm like,
Ugh.
that's the guy from Anchorman and The Office, and he always plays that same character.
I just want to know who's sleeping with him.
His wife. That's the thing.
No, they're still separated.
Oh, I thought they got back together.
No.
Oh my God. Okay, I have a really long one to read, but I really think it's worth it.
Okay.
Truth for Peace and Freedom. I need 3 more spinoff shows from Southern Charm. I know we had Relation Shep in 2017, but I need Shep to have a more traditional bachelor-like show where he hands out megalodon tooth necklaces to the women he wants to keep. If Flava Flav had his own show handing out clock necklaces, Shep could have one too. Let's get cheesy with it. The second show I need is Southern Charm Rehab Edition, starring Whitney as the main character. The third show will be to introduce us to Craig's future baby. I'm excited to see Craig become a dad. This show could be called Welcome Home, Baby Chicken, or Welcome Home, Little Craig. Obviously, the title to the third show needs some work. About Craig potentially dating Kristen Cavallari. There are definitely some similarities. there with the conspiracy theorist angle. She believes Kanye is a clone. Craig believes that pandas don't exist. This is a great foundation for a new relationship. But she already has 3 children. So if anything, I think it will just be a hookup, a situationship. I am too confused. I too am so confused about the JT Venita situation. It reminds me of the Blake Baldoni fiasco. I had no clue what was truly going on until Justin dropped all his texts. So in order for me to put the puzzle together, I will need to see all of JT and Venita's text messages. But I can think of better use of my time. Like you guys, I am no longer interested and am distrustful of that entire situation. About the cast being afraid of Craig. It brings up 2 examples for me. Craig going hard against Catherine and Madison. He fought so viciously against each of them with his cutting words that they quickly realized what a formidable opponent he is and decided life would be easier with him on their side. Now, both of those women love him and consider him a friend. Very Game of Thrones strategy. And lastly, bring back John Pringle, a.k.a. Peter Dinklage, a.k.a. Tyrion Lannister. Pringle cracks me up. I still smile thinking of him doing his hippie dance while everyone else is eating. He's quick-witted and fits in smoothly with the cast. He's a good time. Pringle gets my 1 vote for which cast member I would bring back.
Bravo.
No notes.
No notes.
Wish I thought of it all myself. Can't believe that you take the time to write for us. Like, I just love this person. I don't know if Truth for Peace and Freedom is a girl or a boy. They might have had something in there at some point along. I feel like I read a comment from them every week because it's always this
so good. And
yeah,
like Johnny, you got the funnies, literally.
you know, Johnny's one-liners are everything.
They're great, but I don't know. I think it was on the taste test episode where she was talking about our nicknames. I said I called, and you watch Real Housewives. I don't, but there's apparently a girl named Dorit. I call her Cool Ranch because why wouldn't you? Truth for Peace for Freedom. She thought that was pretty good, but then she won up to me.
We don't know if it's a she. Or
oh, sorry, they won up to me with the best nickname of all time,
Which is?
for Craig,
Gee.
Supermodel Forrest Gump.
Which I didn't get
Is
at
the
first, and then
best
Mike explained it to me. And
Thing
now I get
ever,
it.
because Supermodel, he just stumbles into every single thing that
Yeah.
he's ever had in his life.
Shit. It
Goddamn
happens.
brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just thinking, like, I'm like, oh, they don't like Craig. They think he's like tall and dumb and stupid. Like that's just not that I love Forrest Gump so much. I'm just saying, like, my immediate thought is, oh, you think this guy has real issues?
Lieutenant Dan invested our money in some kind of fruit company and said we
An
never had to
apple
worry
company.
about money again. And I
That's
said,
funny.
well, that's good. One less thing to worry about.
New legs. Lieutenant again got new legs.
Oh, I love.
But Vicky
Janet.
Lynn, to add a double down on this one, Vicky Lynn said Catherine and Craig sitting in a tree.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, but I would watch the heck out of this spinoff. And then at Truth for Peace for Freedom, should we add this to the list? And I think we should.
I would just want them to have their own show.
That's what
Period. Like they don't need.
That's
to,
what I'm saying.
Yeah, they don't need to hook up. They can if they want. I'm here for it.
Whatever.
Oh, JG, B is so pretty. She is a pretty kitty.
Yeah, thank you.
She's a plus size model.
She's the cutest little chunk of my life. By the way, Pringle would never come back because he was on one season. It was the COVID season. And he really, it's funny because people love him and I liked him also, but he didn't perform. Like he didn't do anything. He didn't really have, he was a great season 1 person that could have ingratiated himself way more if he got a season 2. I think he didn't want to come back.
I was just
personally.
gonna say, didn't you say that he didn't want it, or you just think that's your?
That's just my
opinion?
thought
Okay.
on it because he was so well liked and he really didn't get into it. Like he didn't have bad blood with anyone on the cast, so it's not as though someone could say, "Oh, if he's coming back, I don't want to work with him" or any of that nonsense. I just think he would just never do it, and it's funny
Yeah.
that everyone always calls him out to be like, "Get Pringle back," and I'm like, "No, guys, this is." You need to vote. It's like voting for the independent candidate. Like we, for better or worse, we live in a 2-party system at Bravo. Okay, so you can't waste your vote on a Pringle.
He is who you'd want to be the truth teller because he would just kind of be sitting by watching, and then he'd be like, "You know, you guys are still in love, right? I just want to make sure you
100%.
know." Anyhow, can I get another bourbon? Like But JT's like, like he just gets, but that's what TV is. You got to have that little weirdo that's like spitting all over himself to like get a line out.
Wait, really quick. I just love Judy Murray's comment. She goes, "What is wrong with me? I don't remember Craig's Natalie. I'm going to have to go back to watch past episodes because now I'm worrying about my memory."
Yeah.
Well,
Judy, it's okay. She was easily forgettable. God bless. I'm sure she's a wonderful person, but it's not you. It's Natalie.
Well,
And
and there's another Natalie now, so you don't even need to go back.
well, and we're not the only ones that don't remember Natalie 1.0 because somebody commented on Natalie 2.0 saying, well, and she also made an appearance in Winter House when Craig said, I have to buy her flowers. Nope, that was Natalie 1.0. But they look quite similar.
Oh. Well, I just want to let you know, Craig, third Natalie's the charm.
Fuck off, Craig. Bring it.
Yeah, this guy loves confrontation, but I think so does
dude.
Craig.
Fuck
Oh,
Craig.
I love that Latrell Red was like, hey guys, by now you have all heard Leva has quit the show and she will be missed. Not.
Did she quit or was she fired? Just out of curiosity. Do we know?
I mean, I think that Bravo gives everyone, unless you really done someone wrong, I think that Bravo gives everyone the carte blanche to say that they've decided to pursue other ventures, you know, and that's what Leva said. She said she's going to be spending more time on Southern hospitality. And I heard in my head a collective sigh from the cast of Southern hospitality being like, oh God, mom's going to be here more often.
I know, it's like when you're an assistant and they are like gone for the entire summer and then Labor Day hits and you're like,
yeah. Rebecca Krakow says Whitney looks like he's embalmed. Better name for Craig is Pinocchio. Love the guy, but he lies and actually believes his lies. That's a real problem. Editor Danielle says, I think season 10 ended with the best potential match I've seen on the show in 10 seasons, but overall still a big bust. I also think bad editing played a big role. I can think a lot of ways that could have done much better with the material they did have. I don't know what's going on, but if they don't fix it, they're on the fast track to total irrelevance. Better luck next time is perfect.
yeah,
Nailed it.
did nail it.
And who would know better than editor Danielle?
Yeah.
You heard it here in the middle. Join us next time. Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Keep them comments flowing.
They're gonna.
Keep the shit talking coming.
Yeah.
Or just lively engagement. Doesn't need to be sugar, honey, iced tea stuff.
Listen, just don't break my spirit.
I just love the compliments and the funny ones.
Yeah.
Funny ones are nice. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.